Welcome to the Guntersville Grassroots Podcast presented by Frog Talks. This is the episode for March the 20th. We're a day early because Trey is back.
Yep, I'm back.
We found him. So the guest of the day is Trey because he's kind of been missing. You know, I sent out smoke signals and asked for an APB on him last week or 2 weeks ago. And
I missed my bed. I come back home.
Briefly.
I'm
pretty sure you left Eufaula and took a wrong turn and ended up in Texas?
Yep, I left Eufaula and I headed home towards my actual house for about 20 minutes. And then I was like, you know what? I'm turning around. So I drove all the way to Toledo, being in pre-practice for 2.5 days, and then drove all the way back here.
You didn't want to hang out in Eufaula a little longer?
Kind of, but I think I was like, I don't even want to waste my time there because we're not going back there. So I was like, it'd benefit me more to go to Toledo and look around.
You didn't have a great event down there, did you?
No, I had a decent day the first day, and the second day, the second day got canceled because of weather and wind, and it blew 906 miles an hour, and everything got churned up, and just it was a cluster. And the second day, I didn't catch them, plain and simple. I just didn't catch them. All my fish the first day of the Open, I had 14 3/4, almost 15 pounds or something. But the first day I had a limit in the first 2 brush piles I fished, and I controlled both of them. I started on one and trolled 90 feet to the next one. I had a limit, just boom, and I lost a 7-pounder on a big worm. But had a limit quick. And the second day I fished every brush pile I marked just about. All the good ones that I got bit on in practice, which was 28 or 30. I fished every single one of them on day 2 and never had a single bite.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and the first day, I literally fished 2 of them and had a limit in the first 30 minutes. I don't know what changed because the temperature didn't really drop. I mean, it got a little cooler, but not that, not bad. I don't know if the wind blowing on them piles all night just turned the water up just enough to where they didn't want to bite. I don't know.
They were still there. How deep were those things?
I was fishing anywhere from 12 to 6 feet.
So you
the
could
shallow
see
brush.
them, though. I mean,
I could see them on live scope 360. Yeah, but I just missed the deal down there. Them guys caught them on shell bars, deep fishing, ledge fishing here, kind of dotted up 20, 30 fish schools on shell bars. And I don't know. I mean,
you just didn't find that.
I just never even would have thought in a million years, which I don't really travel with nobody. I don't really talk to anybody. And I thought the first day I was down there, I had about 19 pounds on just what I swung on brush piles, shallow brush piles, and they were pre-spawners moving up, getting ready to spawn. I'm like, dude, I found the deal. That's how it's going to be won. So I spent 2 days idling and marking, and then I went and found fish up shallow, and I'm like, dude, I kind of got it going. And I think I settled down and thought I had the winning pattern, and I should have just kept looking, because that's literally, if I could choose one thing to do for the rest of my life, it'd be deep cranking, and that's how all them guys caught them, and I just completely missed it. I mean, what would you think in a pre-spawn tournament they'd be low? Now that's I feel like farther down at Texas and stuff, you see that for some reason.
It's just it's the way the lakes are.
Yeah, I guess it's the way the lake's laid out, but I just never thought Eufaula would have been that way. I thought it was more of a shallow brush deal. I've
never been there. I don't.
Apparently, I ain't neither. I have a couple times, but it didn't show that. Yeah,
you learned a little something.
That's right.
Did you thaw out yet from the ABT yesterday when it was cold?
My fingertips are still a little numb, to be completely honest with you, and I wore my dude's shoes, but I did put hot hands down in my dude's shoes, and it worked pretty well.
If this had a video on it, you would see me sitting here shaking my head because, First off, the kid just wears dude's shoes even when it's cold.
Well, that's what G said. He called me on Wednesday. I was up here practicing. It was cold Wednesday morning, or really all day Wednesday. And I said, I'm really not that bad. I said, my hands and my feet are cold. And he said, let me guess, you're wearing dude's shoes. And I said, yeah. And he's like, they make boots.
Yeah, I think you and I had that conversation before too. Which raise money for you.
I'm like, boots are $140. I ain't paying for no boots. My dude's shoes are just fine. But so if it really gets cold, I'll slide 2 hot hands on the top of my feet. But my feet sweat so bad, I can't.
Yeah,
I can't keep my feet warm.
Do you deer hunting dude shoes?
No, I do deer hunting boots.
Okay, rubber boots, probably. But,
I try not to get too warm with boots because I'll just sweat to death on the way in, then my feet will literally freeze.
Well, it was really, with the exception of that cold snap there around Christmas, it was really pretty warm most of the year.
Yeah, it really wasn't.
You could have got by with the dude shoes other than getting
really
muddy.
Could have.
You don't want to get your Lululemon or whatever that crap is dirty either.
I couldn't do that. So
I guess if the ABT had a tournament in January on Guntersville, it would get cold because Kay Donaldson's got more power than I don't know.
James Spann ain't got nothing on her.
No, she even called it on their podcast last week. She goes, well, they call the ABT another bad thunderstorm, and little did we know she was going to be right. It didn't really thunder that bad, but dang, it got cold. It's still cold. It's Sunday, the day after the ABT, and the high is like 41.
Yep.
Okay?
Wind's still blowing.
Let it warm up.
Yeah. They must be still packing up. That's why it's still cold. Yeah.
Isn't it crazy how that has become a pattern for them, no matter where they go?
Yeah, it is. And it's not just ABT.
It's not.
It's like the Opens. Every big tournament I have, you can just look at the weather, like the 10-day forecast, and it'll be pretty, like all like sunshine and pretty. That's like kind of like you follow. It was pretty as crap all week. Highs in the 80s, lows in like the 60s, and then it blew like 30 miles an hour on Friday, and it was going to get down to like 40. Cold front coming through, raining. Like it's just any type of big tournament. It's just going to happen.
It seems like every year we get in a pattern where it's real nice about Monday through Thursday.
Yep.
And then Saturday sucks.
Yeah, every time.
It seems it's not Kay's fault. We tease. Trey is close with her. We've swapped messages, but they're a great organization. They do a really, really good tournament trail, and those folks just flat busted them yesterday.
Yep, they did.
I mean,
they always do.
They always do. They always do. I called 30 pounds last week or 2 weeks ago when I had Tim Chandler on here. That was when you were missing in action. I believe you kind of called.
They did a little interview with me, like a I don't even know what you call it, pre-tournament like interview, just to kind of get an idea of what it's going to take for the lake and what the lake looks like, stuff like that. And I said on there, I thought that 18 pounds would get a check, which I think it took 18 pounds to get a check.
1782. Yeah.
Pretty daggone spot on. I'm pretty good on that one. And I said I think it would take low 20s to be in the top 10. Pretty close on that one. I think I was going saying low 20s.
I 23.
I think it was 23. I was guessing like 21 and a half to 22. So a little high. I was a little low there. And I also said in there, they didn't put it in there, but I said, and you can ask the guy that interviewed me, I promise you, I said if I was a betting man, I would bet Josh Butts has 28 to 30 pounds off of Browns Creek Bridge.
And he did.
And by God, he did. 29.55 on live on Browns Creek Bridge.
Yeah, I don't know if they all came off Browns Creek Bridge, but I can assure you, I came to my real job yesterday morning as an appraiser. I was getting behind. I came and sat there on the computer, and I got a TV monitor up on the wall up here. Then I flipped on the YouTube live while I was writing appraisals. So I'm sure I was real effective. But and they were flipping around back and forth, and it showed them sitting on the Browns Creek Bridge. And I went, well,
I'm telling you right now, and I was talking to my partner about it on the way home. I'm telling you, if Josh Butts would just fish the Opens for 2 years, he'd be on the Elite Series. I'm telling you, he's that good.
Not just Bridges.
I'm not just saying that because he's my buddy. I love Josh. Every time I see him, we talk, shake hands, but I'm not his buddy. We don't hang out.
Right. We're friends.
We're friends, but we're not that close. I'm not just saying that. Like that kid, everywhere we go, I mean, he's won 2 ABTs, finished second in 1. He's won the Angler of the Year. Dude, he is.
Did they win
he
the
is
Classic?
legit. I don't think so.
No? Okay.
And he, fished at Wallace State in college. He caught them in college.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And dude, I'm telling you, if he would give himself, and I know, it's expensive out there, and I actually talked to him about it that one time, and he's like, man, it's just so expensive to be out there. But I promise you right now, if he give himself 2 years, the first year, I would say 1 year, but man, when you get out there on that type of scale, and multi-day events, it's a little different, which he has experience with college and everything, but I give him 1 year to just kind of get used to it and get his feet wet, and year 2, I guarantee he'd be fishing the Elite Series.
There's a learning curve, I guess.
There's a learning curve, and it's a little different.
You're still in it.
Yeah, I'm still in it. He'd be a whole lot more quicker of a learner than I am, but hey, I wish I would like to see Josh give himself 2 years, because I think he could make it.
He just got it.
But, some people don't want to do that. No. He might not want to fish professionally, but I promise you if he wanted to, he could.
Yeah.
If he'd give himself 2 years, he could do it.
Well, 29.55 on a really high pressure northwest wind, got up stupid 20 mile an hour.
Yeah.
But dude, they caught them all around. There was 23 or 22 bags over 20 pounds.
Yeah. But see, the one thing that gets me, though, is, you see Josh catch him that good, and his partner. We can't leave out his partner. It wasn't just Josh. Stephen
McAvoy. Yeah.
McAvoy. So Stephen McAvoy and Josh Butts had 29.55, but they've got to where they print out like how many limits were caught, the average weight.
Yeah, the bait report. I saw it earlier.
Yeah, so I looked at it, and it was actually, believe it or not, there's 225 boats in the ABT, and believe it or not, there was only 80 something limits weighed in. So it wasn't, everybody didn't catch them.
No,
like it was. I mean, it wasn't easy out there. But
you can attest to that.
I can attest to that. I think I had a whopping 4 fish for about 9 pounds, 3 ounces or something like that.
And all kinds of adventures that we probably won't share all of them.
I won't share all of them. We'll probably get into some eventually.
we were talking for 30 minutes before we got started with this, and Trey said, man, if I could just tell everything that happened, we could make the best podcast ever. And I said, well, let's do it. He goes, no, I can't do it.
I can't say everything, but I will tell you this. For those of you who listen who know Guntersville, I'll just go ahead and say it because I don't really care. I don't ever catch nothing up there anyways. It proves that I only had 9 pounds. But I was sitting at the mouth of Roseberry on the point on the left, a little bitty shallow point. I'm sure most of y'all locals know where that is. If you're listening and you're not from here, it's about 2 inches deep right now.
Yeah, don't drive over it.
Because it's 2 feet low. And when it's high, when the lake's high, I wouldn't advise running over it. Long story short, I'm sitting there casting up into like 2 foot of water, or less than 2 feet, and I won't say the color because I won't go into that, but a Triton bass boat with no power poles. If he's listening, he probably knows who it is. In a red rain suit. Decides to run so close to my boat, well, Daniel's boat, that it splashed water that hit the trolling motor. And I flipped my chatterbait. That was
not on the backside.
That was not on the backside of the channel, because there is a back channel you can run and hit the main channel to go into Roseberry. He run across the shallow point that I was casting at. At that moment, I didn't just pull up and drop the trolling motor. I had been sitting there for 20 minutes, and he runs straight across. I flipped my chatterbait and stopped it, or it was going to hit the side of his boat.
To wonder somebody didn't get hurt.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, on top of you just being crazy, I'll use the word crazy and say running that close to me, do you want to die today? It's 2 feet low, and you just run, you could see the mud trail from where he
there's
run.
no way the bottom of his motor didn't hit that. That's not, that is seriously not deep at full sun.
Yeah, and I'm like, and there was 2 or 3 other boats fishing on the main river channel side of it, and they all threw their hands up what are you doing? And and then they all looked at us I was like, oh my gosh, it was just one of them days, and that's probably only not even a quarter of what happened in my day, but that's all I will say, just to keep from
in
drama.
In the words of Forrest Gump, that's all I've got to say about that.
That's all I've got to say about that.
I watched that the other day, so it's still fresh in my mind. So, the weights have been ridiculous. Mm-hmm. I mean, Honeycomb last weekend, 24 boats. ABT's 225 boats. There's always somebody going to catch them. Honeycomb last weekend was 27 and change for first and 225s for second and third.
I believe it, man. This lake, and that's what I told them on that thing we did, and people, we've talked about it on here, but people say, man, this lake ain't what it used to be. I'm talking about, by God, to get the pressure that this lake gets and to still be kicking out the bags. And just on down the line, I think 15 pounds yesterday had you in 67th place. That's incredible.
Oh, no, it's fishing. I told you this, when I went a couple weeks ago, the first time I had gotten out for a full day. It's still different than it used to be, mm-hmm. but the quality is what it used to be. They're spread out more to me. It was a little different, one here, one there. Had to cover a lot more water than I would normally like to do. I used to be able to find the right 200-yard stretch, mm-hmm. and you'd spend the day there. I can't do that anymore.
I will say, I don't know if
it's a bridge,
noticed.
I don't do it.
I think you told me kind of where you went, but I practice up the river. To me, during the springtime, I feel like well, let me rephrase that. It always goes down on a bridge, and it's always going to be one on a bridge. But for the guys that are dumb and don't know how to fish a bridge and are too dumb to have the patience to do it, like me, or you, most of the time, the bite for me in the spring is up the river between Seabold, and I know this is a long ways, but Seabold to BB Comer.
Absolutely.
That stretch is where it goes down first in the spring.
Warms up a little faster.
Yeah, and then post-spawn, once they get in that post-spawn, April to me, down the lake gets better. But so I spend all my time up the lake, but I seen more hydrilla. And not just clumps, I'm talking about hydrilla.
Like summertime hydrilla.
Summertime hydrilla than I've ever seen on this lake. And because I just started fishing it 4 or 5 years ago, and I ain't never seen as much hydrilla as I have.
I've seen it in places that I've never seen it before in 6 foot of water, a foot under the surface.
I found some in 12 feet growing up into like 8. Like it was like pretty. And I fished miles. Just for you guys listening, don't even waste your time. It's sticky and hangs you rattle trap, and you will not get a bite. Now, if you find like
run your Alabama rig about a foot above it.
See, if you find you eelgrass and hydrilla mix,
oh yeah,
now you're getting a little dirty with them. But if it was just hydrilla, because I told Daniel, I said, man, this lake ain't had that pretty of stuff.
But it was green too, right?
Bright green, like healthy stuff, and we fished it, man. Which I think it's good for the lake. I just think now they're so used to that eelgrass, it'll take them a while to get. But yeah, I can't wait.
It's gonna be a flipping bite.
They will get in it. They're just not right now, as we speak on March 20th or whatever it is.
It's crazy to me that we've got what looks like late May hydrilla in early March. And dude, half the lake was froze at the end of around Christmas. I mean, normally, historically speaking, when you get some really cold spells in the winter, it knocked that kind of grass back. Eelgrass is freaking Superman.
Yeah, it's like kudzu or whatever they call it. Yeah, you can't burn it down.
But the hydrilla stuff, green hydrilla normally started showing up late April, early May in little bitty short pieces. And the fact that I hadn't been out near as much as you have, but the fact that there's hydrilla that's in 6, 8, 10 foot of water that's 4, 5, or 6 foot tall.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
I'm glad it's there. It is very good for it. And the fish may be going, well, what's that? Because this generation's eelgrass been here long enough. They don't even know what it is.
And I think right now, and too, like I just think it's springtime. They're kind of where they're going to be for a while. Now I think once it gets postponed, like they might venture out and be like, oh, we ain't seen this in 6 years. Let's go sit in there so I'll bite an oil monster like I used to. But, so
now those annoying clumps of coontail are everywhere.
Yeah. But I've seen a lot of milfoil too.
Yeah.
And like I said, I mean, I was in an area of the lake where most of it usually has been the past couple of years, the little that there has been.
Right, but a lot of that's been took over by eelgrass.
Yeah, but that's the thing, and like most of the time when you do usually find hydrilla or milfoil here the past 2 or 3 years, you'll find a clump of it in a mile of eelgrass. Correct. This was just true hydrilla and milfoil just everywhere.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was awesome. It got
You remember where that is come about late May?
Yep.
And then you pitch you a little 3/4 ounce something around it and see what happens.
Yeah, so. I told Daniel, I said, I can hear my braids singing now. I can hear it.
Yeah, that's right. So you tell us a little bit about your practice for the ABT. I'm guessing it went better than the tournament with lack of 30-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah, my practice was pretty good. I mean, like I said, I fish Guntersville all the time, so I usually working from home, and my partner's a nurse, so he kind of gets to make his own schedule kind of. So we usually try to go on Wednesday a lot of times just because there's not a lot of boats out there. So I drive a sticker. I call it. It's just a big old sticker. Everybody knows it's Trey. Yeah, so I'm like, I try to get out there on Wednesday just so I don't really get seen, which apparently, nobody was going to follow Trey around yesterday. If they did, they were dumb, which I think a couple people might have. But anyways.
Another story.
Another story for another time. But so we try to go on Wednesday and Thursday, and then Friday it rained. So we sat out on Friday. But Wednesday, dude, it was one of them days like you talked about. Like, I didn't beat on them. Like, I was just checking stuff, and I went to one bar that I only fish when it comes tournament time. Like, I don't go fun fishing on it. I don't do nothing like that. And I pulled up, and like my first 4 casts, I caught 2 4-pounders, just boom, boom. And I'm like, all right, well, they're here. I ain't fished it in over a year, so I'm like, well, they're still here. That's all I needed to see. Well, I go on, I check one more place, and I catch a 6. And I'm like, first cast on the point, I catch a 6. And I'm like, all right. So go to another little point, like not far from it, and I catch like a 5. And I'm like, okay. So
this was all shallow.
This was all shallower. Sitting, I like to, sit 6 feet, cast up shallower, fish points and ditches and stuff like that. Just normal springtime stuff. But so after that, I was like, man, what else do I need to do? And I had probably 22, 23 pounds, and I didn't sit there and catch them every cast. Like, I caught one on one point and left, and I went to one more point and caught a 5-pounder on my first cast and left, and went to that bar and caught 2 4s and left. So I'm like, all right. So the second day we actually went down the lake just to make sure. We actually cast it at Browns Creek Bridge, and apparently I did not cast the right thing. because I never had a bite. But fish down there and dude, boats were everywhere down the lake. And I think down the lake fish is so much smaller this time of the year.
If you're fishing those funnels.
Yeah, if you're fishing like not well, which bridges fish small too, but like that pre-spawn stuff, there's just not a lot of it.
It's different.
It's
more
different
vertical
down there.
It
Yeah,
narrows it down.
Yeah, it just kind of narrows the space down, and boats get crowded. And I'm like, dude, I told Daniel, my partner, I'm like, man, I'm not. After what we caught yesterday, I'm not coming down here and joining all these boats because we caught 6 or 8 fish, in about 2 hours, and the biggest one was 2 3/4. But I said we went in one pocket, and I saw 2 guides in there that fished the same exact stretch that we did before we come in there, and they fished right behind us, and then they went across and fished the stretch we fished right before they got. It was just, and it was like guides and local. I mean, it was just, and I'm like, dude, I can't do this. So we left and went back up the river and practiced half a day Thursday.
And then you had first and second basically come out of Browns Creek.
Exactly. And
now one was a bridge and one was in the grass.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it is what it is. I mean, like I said, I enjoy this time of the year. I think unless it's the summertime, Guntersville's always had a curse on me. I don't know what
home
it
lake,
is, but
it's kind of home lake for you. I mean, you're kind of a vagabond. You go
yeah,
wherever,
and which like I said yesterday, we talked about it all fair. We won't talk about all of it on air, but it was just a day. I should have just stayed in the bed. I just had that feeling. I should have just stayed back.
Sometimes you just wake up and know.
Yeah, and I had that feeling. I don't know why, but I was like, dear Lord, I pissed somebody off. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. I'm
that
very
Daniel
sorry.
Did.
Yeah, and that's what Daniel said. He said, dude, I think it was me. And I said, well, you say you're sorry right now. Because, dude,
I want to get back to the ramp.
We were at the ramp, and he's like, dude, what a day. And I said, hey, don't say that. And he said, what? I said, we need to make it home. If we can make it home and just get in the bed, I'll be like, you know what? It could have been worse. But I was like, we're 40 miles from the house right now. So
yeah, you got to go fishing.
Yeah, and that's what I told him. I said, look at it this way. It could have been worse, and there's people that would have loved to go fishing today. So, it is.
I was not one of them. Yesterday, between the weather, the high school tournament of the Goose Pond, and the ABT, I looked and I said, I think this would be a good morning to go to work for a little while. And then I went by GTO and Waterfront and Victory Sportsman up at Goose Pond and picked up Bass entries and stuff like that because it just did not appeal to me.
Yeah.
Now, yesterday appeals more than today because today's stupid cold. But, man, I texted you the other night because I didn't know if you'd signed up. Said, don't be that guy. And you went, what? And
I thought you meant like I caught one. I'm like, I ain't caught one. I signed up yesterday.
Well, I was afraid you hadn't. And because, it seems like you forgot one year.
I did.
And one year you said you were broke.
Yeah, one year I was broke. And I was like, I don't want to spend $100. So
this was the year after he won $1,500. Yeah. But they've been catching them. I mean, I've had.
How many has there been caught already? I know Scott caught one.
He caught one crappie fish.
Crappie fishing. He
had another guy catch one crappie fishing off the bank upriver that was registered. That's the second one he's caught. He caught one 2 years ago.
Huh.
A different creek, but still sitting on the bank crappie fishing with a minnow. It's completely legal. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep. That's the cool thing about this is, if you're, and even if you're a crappie fisherman, you need to make sure you're signed up because Scott Jernigan was sitting on a bridge crappie fishing and dropped down there and caught like 2 bass and one of them had a tag in it, $1,500 richer.
$1,500 richer. I met him yesterday.
Yep.
So I think I've had, which I got 2 or 3 texts yesterday. I'll be honest with you, I hadn't got all caught up for. I think yesterday afternoon, after things started settling down, I know there were at least 2 turned in at Waterfront. I think that puts us to 10 or 11. It's the 20th day. I mean, that's you're and I guarantee you there's been, you could average one a day if you count that, guys.
Yeah.
Some of the ones around here that are local that just won't sign up for whatever reason, they just won't call. They know, but they just won't call. You get word about it a little while later. Well, such and such, he didn't sign up, but he caught one. Hey, you dummy. But
I will say I've been doing not really research, but I've been paying attention to this thing because I thought it was cool ever since I won and won $1,500 and Daniel won the boat and all that. But man, people were like, because when I worked at GTO, everybody was like, man, what's the chances of you actually catching that same bass? It's better than you think. I promise you, because I talked to Scott and he said he went the next day crappie fishing. He actually caught that same bass that he caught with a tag in it the next day.
He could see where he cut it off.
Yeah, he could see where he had cut it off.
It was home.
And I think like I think there's a population of fish in each lake that just bite. No matter how many times they get caught, I think they just bite.
It's the dumb ones. I like dumb ones. I hope they reproduce.
Really and truly, because you got to think, normally you would say there's not much of a chance that you would catch that same fish, but there's been an average of one caught every day since it started. That's insane. So, and there's only 200, and you'd argue, I think 10 or 11 probably been caught already.
Yeah, now
that's
a few
the
of
ones
those,
that's registered.
Yeah, that's right. A few of those were prior year's tags.
But still, you used to get some money, right?
You get $500 plus a rod.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's better than you think it is. That's what it. I've got to paying attention to that. I'm like, it's crazy because
if you're fishing, you better be part of it.
Yep,
hands down. So here's a crazy story. I didn't tell you this. Jeff Risbeck, which is the guy that won the truck a few years ago, he caught it on Easter Sunday. He caught a tag. Clearly, he was signed up and he was driving his truck that he won.
Really?
When I met him, or when he turned it in, I actually hadn't met him yet. But he caught a fish, and I'll just say above Goose Pond. All right, that I let go at the Rattle Trap tournament at Browns Creek on February 5th.
Really?
For real. I had to go back and double check, and I went, well, there's no way that's not one I tagged right there, because there was a whole line of them that I had a gun loaded and went, click, click, click. And I mean, in that tournament you can trailer. So people were all over. Not that they won't run anywhere, all over. The lake's small with 250s.
Yeah.
But I mean, 100% above Goose Pond, below BB Comer. But I let that fish go, was it 30-something miles down the river?
That is insane.
That is insane. Because I just scratched my head, and I've had some travel. I've had some caught around Goose Pond that came from.
Well, the one that I caught in Browns was let loose at Goose Pond, was it not? If I remember correctly.
No, you're right. I remember we talked about that.
Yeah, because I caught it at the Big River Bridge.
Yeah.
And I think it was let loose at Goose Pond. That's a long ways.
Long way. Yeah, for sure. It's been really neat to watch. So, on to the fishing. You saw water temps ranging, you said what? 50, 60?
Yeah, anywhere, which we had a couple cold days in a row, but I saw anywhere from on the main lake early in the mornings, it was low 50s, 51, 52, and then it got up to 54, in the middle of the day. And then I seen some of the backs of the pockets be up in the close to 60 by the end of the day yesterday.
That blows my mind, as cold as it's been. We've got this whole one step forward, two step back thing going on right now. We're in our 5th winter of the year, whatever it is. But it seems like the lake just doesn't want to let go. I mean, it's just I think Thursday, this coming Thursday, I think the high's 78.
Yeah. Yeah, and it surprised me that we had that many cold days in a row and the water temp really didn't drop that much. Yeah. I thought it was going to tank.
I think the ground's warm now. You go outside and look at the trees, and it's sneezy and itchy and pollen and flowers. And
I know all about that.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, and the fish are, for the most part, I mean, there were a lot of fish caught deep. Here's what we learned this weekend. Trey already knew this, and I already knew this, and most everybody listening knows this. If you want to catch 30 pounds to win a big tournament, and you are named Josh Butts or Stephen McAvoy, go sit on a bridge, because there was a crowd of people around them, but they still managed to pull it off. That's not the first time they've done it. I looked a minute ago; they had 33 pounds and something in a rescue squad tournament last February.
Here's the thing, Josh Butts. I like I said, I'm not his buddy, but I know him. We talk when we see each other. He don't care to tell you. Man, I caught him on Browns Creek Bridge. He does not care to tell you. I think he knows he's that good, and he'll just catch him anyways.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the bait he uses or the way he. I'm not a bridge fisherman. I have no idea, but
I don't want to sit in the middle of all those people.
I don't either, but he'll tell you straight up, man. We caught him on the bridge on a swim bait.
I guess it's a patience game.
I think it is.
And maybe learning that right cast.
Yeah.
There is, and no matter which bridge it is, there's a corner or a turn or a pile-in or,
And I think every one of them's different.
Oh, sure it is.
You can't watch a video of a guy fishing the right pile-in on Kentucky Lake and come to Guntersville and fish the right pile-in. It's just different on every lake.
I'm not sure that the way the wind's blowing doesn't make a difference.
Yeah. But it's a proven fact that in the springtime at Guntersville, I don't care how good you think they're biting, and I'm basically talking to myself here because I'm saying this out loud, so I will remember this. I don't care how good they're biting your chatterbait, Trey, there will be one on a bridge.
Until maybe depending on the weather, but normally by the end of March. Hopefully
yeah, I was about to say, usually once it hits April, that's done. But if it's February or March at Guntersville, I don't care how good they're biting in the grass in practice, it will be one on a bridge.
I thought for a minute that old Wesley Sams and Jordan Wiggins, who were in the grass, might pull it off. And then I had to walk away. I was watching part of the weigh-in, and I had to run out and do something. And then they came in with that 29, and I'm like, well, hell, I know what they were doing.
Well,
they were,
like I said, I caught it on that thing, and I saw they were leading, and I like Wesley and Jordan. I was hoping they would pull it out, but I knew when I didn't see Josh Butts weigh in yet that it wasn't over yet. I was like, if y'all pass them guys, you'll be all right. But
you called it. So for everybody that's going fishing in the next couple of weeks, what do you think?
I think, it's supposed to get real warm, and I think, I did catch a lot. I caught a couple post spawners yesterday, but I think once it gets back up in the 80s, I think you're fixing to see another huge wave move up to spawn. I think there'll be a lot laying around, and I think there'll be another wave go pre-spawn. So I think you'll still be catching them pre-spawn, and I think in the same places you catch the pre-spawners, you'll notice you'll catch one with a big old head and real skinny, and he just got done spawning, moving back out,
Yeah, and as soon as these overnight lows get back up in the 50s and stuff, that water temp will jump right back up. And before you know it, you're going to have the shad spawning, the bluegill spawning, the crappie should be spawning right here with the bass. Really, I mean, they were getting real close, and of course we had some bass already spawned. I don't know if those fry will make it given this crazy weather. But maybe they'll spawn again. The guy we had biologist we had on last year said they just keep on.
We're fixing to get another huge spawn at the end of this week. It's going to get up into the 70s and 80s. It'll be on.
When I was out Saturday before last, I was catching them pretty good, mostly at the mouths. Not way back. Of course, the water was 2 foot low, so there wasn't a whole lot of water way back. So, but we had to move a lot. I wasn't catching a bunch in one spot. I got out on some river bar stuff, and I caught some fish on them. I just didn't have any size out there that day. Now, I mean, a buddy of mine went out practicing for the ABT, and he got on one of those bars, and he caught some good ones. Now it got blowed out. Yesterday, and I know you had that problem too. Some of your stuff got blown up with them high winds. But, we could very easily start having to throw dingers and lizards here in the next 2 weeks. I hope not. I'd like it to stretch on out just a little. But I do not want it to be 23 degrees anymore.
Yeah, me either.
Today is a mallard hunting day, and it's March.
I will say I'm really looking forward to cranking my big plug around, so I kind of wish it'd hurry up.
Yeah, it's coming, and it's going to get right about the time that the BPT gets here. They're here the third weekend in May, maybe, and I guarantee you it's going to be just like last year.
I forgot they were coming. Dang.
Yeah, well,
all my holes is going to be
every one of them, and live live, and people actually watch that.
It's come to be a normal thing that I could just go out there and sit on it and yell at people. So
hey, well, you would just tell them your name's something else.
I'll just be. I don't
What's
know.
that guy's name? Joe Durham?
Ryan.
I don't know any of that story.
I don't know. I'll be somebody else. I'll be Scott Jernigan or something. I
guess you could say you're Gerald Swindle, but
that wouldn't end well for myself. I'd be dead. There wouldn't be no more Trey Swindle after that.
Yeah, he'd whip you and they'd know.
Yeah.
So, but
I can't get away with that.
No, I don't know how anybody gets away with that madness. And for those that don't know, go look up what happened at the Bass Open at Eufaula. There was some drama that, of course, we're about Guntersville, so we're not going to get into. I like to hear Trey's stories. But, speaking of which, what's next for you, Trey?
I'm fixing to go to the Classic. I'm going to be up there. I've really never been to a Classic every day. I'm not going to work it, but I'm going to go. I'm sure somebody will probably end up dragging me somewhere wanting me to work some kind of booth for a minute or sit around and talk. But I'm going to go up there and hang out at the expo and see a bunch of old friends, meet everybody, and then I'm going to go to the weigh-in every day. So I'm going to be up there because my girlfriend lives right there in Knoxville. So I'm going to stay at her house and be there. And then after that, I'll leave for Toledo Bend. That's the next open.
What dates are that?
April 14th, I think, is the start date. 14th through the 16th.
So just as soon as the Classic's over, you're headed west.
Yeah, I'm headed.
That means you're going to be missing in action again here in about 2 weeks.
Yep. And then after that, I'm actually going to leave from there and go pre-practice because it's it ain't but like 4 hours away. I don't know where it is. My buddies just tell me where I'm supposed to go next, and that's where I go. They could really screw me up if they wanted to because I'm very unorganized. But they say we're going to somewhere close by next, maybe like 4 or 5 hours away. So I'm just going to leave
Oklahoma
from there.
or something?
I think it's Eufaula,
The other
Oklahoma.
Eufaula.
Yeah, Oklahoma. So we're going to drive straight to Oklahoma, me and a couple
Is there a
buddies.
cutoff, like a practice, like a...
Yeah, a month prior, 30 days.
month prior.
Yeah, you can pre-practice till then, and then 30 days prior to the event,
You've never been to that lake. So you need to learn how to run it.
Yeah, and I had to. That's why I wanted to go to Toledo, just because it's dangerous with all the standing timber, and the boat lanes are marked fairly well. Especially the north to south lanes are really marked really well, but it's kind of tricky to learn the boat lanes. And once you get familiar with what the buoys mean and where everything's going, it's okay. You just can't run in no creeks. Like you couldn't peel off the main river at Guntersville and run into Browns, or you would probably lose your whole boat.
You can only do that in certain areas. Pretty much Snake Island down on Guntersville, you're safe doing that. You get above there, there's a good chance you're going to tear something up.
Yeah, but there's so much timber out through there, you got to just take your time and idle and stay in the boat lane. So I got down there and got familiar with it. But after that, pre-practice, Eufaula, Oklahoma, and I think I'm home for maybe 4 days, and then I go somewhere else for an ABT. And then my next open's Eufaula, Oklahoma.
The next ABT is Neely Henry.
Yeah, and that's the same week I'll be at Toledo, so I can't fish that one. Yep.
Well, there's a boat tag there. Daniel will catch it for you.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. That's what I told him the other day. I said, dude, you do it again, I'm going to drown you. Standing beside me again, because I'm registered this time, by God. If you catch one in the boat with me again, I'm going to drown you.
I was talking to somebody the other day, and I said, I'm tickled that, and I didn't know Daniel at the time. I knew you, but I didn't know Daniel. I said, I'm tickled that young man caught that tag, but can you imagine how much fun we'd have if Trey Swindle had caught that fish?
I'd probably run away. But here's the thing. I wasn't the only one in the boat that wasn't registered.
He was the only one in the boat registered.
His stepdad was in the boat. We were all three in the boat fishing a deep school, and me and his stepdad were not registered. Daniel was the only person in that boat that was registered. And that's actually the only bass Daniel caught all day.
And he passed a polygraph. He
passed a polygraph. Like, he caught it for sure. But, he was the only one in the boat registered. And he had the fish. That's what I'll never forget, is he was joking around, playing with it, and he had it hanging over the side of the boat, fixing to drop it.
And saw the tag.
Like, he had, if it had flopped.
I hear that story so much. Scott was fixing to throw his back the other day.
Which $1,500 is a lot of money, but a whole lot less than a boat. And I'm like, which if he would have dropped it, he'd have never known if it was a boat, truck, 1,500. But it was dang sure.
I had a guy last year that was fishing by himself that caught one and just unhooked it, sat there and said he laid it in the water. You know how sometimes you lay them in the water, they just sit there for a second?
Yeah.
He said he did it. He saw the tag and he reached in the water and flung it back in the boat. He got it. But so I'm going to ask you the same question that I've been asking the guides that I've had on here. I've kind of done those solo without you. You're going fishing next week for you, just to go catch fish. 5 rods on your deck. What's tied on?
Ooh, next week. I'm going to go Wacky Rig Senko.
Color?
Green pumpkin.
Something green.
Yeah, something green pumpkin. California Love or whatever they call it, 420.
If it's not green, you don't need it.
Yeah, green pumpkin something, Senko, just because I think they're going to start spawning around. A speed worm, reel it around through the grass, a chatterbait, a rattle trap, and I'm going to throw a curveball and say a buzz bait. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that on live. Can we take that back? No, it's just one of those
the big
things.
bedding girls will blow up on
and especially they'll get to cruising around. You might not see them, but
you'll catch them that you can't catch.
Yeah, you'll catch them. Yeah,
but it is not an everyday bite.
Yeah, it's not, and you might not get many bites on it. I just love throwing a buzz bait, and it is a good way to catch
a big one or a little one when you're trying to do that. A big, loud, obnoxious, or a small one?
I throw like a 3/8 War Eagle.
Okay,
so it's not small, but it's not big.
Yeah,
it's not giant.
Not one of those that looks like you're rolling a boat prop through the water.
No, I'm a 3/8 War Eagle guy.
Yeah, I like hearing you say those words.
Yeah. Yeah,
I know that's not really the words you say, but you're fixing to be up there with the Vols.
Yeah.
And your girlfriend's a big Vol fan, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. They actually won last night.
I saw that.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah, Alabama won. I got to watch. I didn't get to watch Tennessee because we were fishing, but she was blowing my phone up all day. I was looking at my watch. She's like, we're leading. We're going to win. I'm like, which they almost got beat by the Raging Cajuns the other night. They played terrible, but I think Tennessee and Alabama are both teams that, which we're off in a rabbit hole talking about sports, but
that's okay.
They're real streaky, you know, and they kind of play to their competition.
I'll tell you what.
Alabama struggled at the beginning last night.
They did, and I'm an Auburn guy. It's hard for me to ever root for Alabama. But their basketball team this year's good. They could
really good.
They could win it all.
When they're playing well.
We've never talked about sports.
We really haven't. welcome to the sports show. But when Alabama's basketball team's playing well and they're kind of gelling together, they could beat anybody in the country.
No, they did.
They've proven that. They beat Houston, you know, at Houston.
And Auburn, who has been very, very up and down this year, had a 10-point lead on Houston at the half yesterday.
I could
just laid a damn egg.
I could not believe that.
They were 15 of 32 at the free throw line. That's all they needed. I mean, they just got the break speed off of them in the second the second period, which just hurt my feelings. I mean, look, I don't think they really should have been. I mean, they were borderline on being there anyway. But that's all I got to say about that in sports. So,
that's right.
I mean, we're talking about something totally unrelated.
Now we can talk off air. I guess we needed to shut up.
Coming up next couple of weeks, you got a BFL out of Goose Pond this weekend and a Fisher's of Men. I think I saw, unless they've moved it. Unless you're fishing one of those, I'd probably put in somewhere else. Mink Creek Boat Ramp is still not open. They're working on it. The weather has been quite the factor. People get online and like to gripe and complain about them being so slow about fixing Mink Creek. If it's wet, you can't move dirt. That's just the bottom line. And it rains every 3 days, and right now it's probably froze. But I drove by there yesterday, and there's a lot more concrete there than it was. It's getting there. I'm ready for that ramp to open back up. I think they're going to Seabold next. Probably get their alternate or their catalytic converter stole while they're working on it. But
be careful over there on them parts. You know,
you got the Blount County Rescue Squad tournament out of the state park Saturday. And then the Friday after that is the Home Builders Association at Madison County and Marshall County Home Builders Association. They have an open tournament that it's a fun event. The payouts are just okay. They've turned it into a big fundraiser type deal. But it's on a Friday. Friday tournaments are normally pretty cool. Yep. So, and after that, you know, there's not a lot going on that first weekend in April other than a high school tournament. All the Wildcats are back up. If it's something you fish Sunday afternoons, out of Browns, I think they start at 2:30. They've got a Facebook page. You got to look. I think you played in some of those.
Yeah, I fished.
Thursday night out of Roseberry. I don't think they allow pros. And Trey qualifies as that now, whether he feels like it today or not.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't think there's any weeknight Browns Creek or All Reds started up yet. But anyway. That's about all we've got, unless, you know, maybe we'll start a sports talk next time. I'm not very good at it. But
yeah, I'm not either.
The water's gotten colder, warming up, wasn't very dirty. The fish have really been biting. It didn't matter about the weather. Until next time, wait, I got to stop.
Stop.
If you enjoy the podcast, share, tell your friends, leave a review. It helps. It helps other people find us because everybody needs to hear about Trey's crazy stories. And he still needs a haircut.
And me rambling on about random junk.
Now.
And if y'all don't like it, you can say, shut up. And I'll go home and get lost again. That's
well, he's going to get lost anyway. I'm no telling who I'll get in here with me next time. Until then, a couple weeks from now, enjoy the floating grass.